right, this is the Evan Ginzburg Show at VillageConnectionRadio.com. Want to wish everybody a happy upcoming Thanksgiving. And we are joined by Pamela Roth from the Justice Hour, carrying over from your show, which just ended a few minutes ago.
Good morning, Evan. How are you?
I'm good. And not only do you cover legal issues, you are a patron of the arts and a supporter of the arts. And you just had a whole bunch of film people on. And tell us about your show.
Well, the show that I just did was excellent. Robin K. Miller is a retired female correction officer from Rikers Island. And she was on the show over a year ago for the book that she had written, that I just don't want to get the name incorrect of the book. But she wrote an expose exposing the inside workings of Rikers Island with the corruption and the mayhem and the cover-ups and the torture and the violence that takes place with correction officers against the inmates. You know, bringing in drugs. You know, the drugs get in there to the inmates, and 99% of the time it's coming in as contraband through the actual correction officers. So she was on, and what's really amazing is that Robin's book is now in production for a film. She's working on a TV series, and it's going to be called Rock Island, Rockk Island. And it's actually going to be exposing not what took place at Rikers Island, which is what the book covered. This is exposing and blowing the roof off of everything that takes place in all upstate correctional facilities up in New York State, and more than likely too across the country.
Interesting. And I'd like to play devil's advocate and tell you that one of my closest friends is an ex-corrections officer, and he was one of the good ones and had a great relationship with the prisoners. And so there were good and bad in every field.
Oh, of course, there's good and bad in everything. You have good and bad police officers and correction officers and you know, doctors, lawyers, accountants. It goes across the board. It's not the uniform that makes the person, you know, nefarious and bad. It's the person themselves. So no matter what he or she is doing, no matter what role they have in society as far as their career, if you happen to be a really bad, evil person, then that's who you are. It doesn't really necessarily carry over just because you're wearing a uniform. It helps if that's what you're seeking, because you can actually get away with a lot of that conduct if you are actually wearing a badge and a shield.
Sure. And as an educator, I sort of seethe when 90% of what's written about teachers are the negative ones. You know, this teacher was selling drugs, this teacher was sleeping with a student. What about the thousands of teachers who are inspiring kids and doing a good job every day for 30 years?
Because as you know, Evan, okay, good titles do not sell newspapers.
Exactly.
It's the blood and guts and gore behind journalism. And I'm not against journalists at all, but just look back. You know, that's what sells newspapers. That's what sells magazines. If you're going to go into the supermarket and you're going to read the National Enquirer, it's not going to be, you know, Debbie just baked 1,000 cookies, you know, and gave them away. It's going to be, you know, Debbie just had sex with some alien who came down from a spaceship, because that's what people are going to read. You know, and the same thing, you know, teachers do get a very bad rap in this country because teachers are underpaid. And I've had this discussion with you. Teachers are underpaid, they're unappreciated. And it's actually the teachers who 99% of the time are actually picking up where the parents have left off. And you're not only doing the job as a teacher, you're also acting as a parent to a lot of these students. And, you know, teachers do get a bad rap and they should be appreciated more. And I'm going to start with you.
There you go. Teachers are not only educators, they're
motivators.
They're counselors, right, motivators, secretaries, because they're doing mountains of clerical work. And unfortunately, a lot of what comes down to the teacher is, you know, you get these kids through that test, and it becomes about the test and about the clerical and about the scores, more so than let's give them the best education possible. And you know, it's very tough, and people don't realize this, but 3 out of 4 teachers with kids do not last 4 years. That's a statistic. 3 out of 4 cannot survive the first 4 years.
But you know what's also not exposed enough about teachers is the fact that teachers sometimes see in a student what a parent doesn't see. Because you're looking at a student very differently, and if you see something in that student that needs to be cultivated as far as a talent, or giving that student, that child, the encouragement that he or she's not getting at home,
you're actually not only helping that child, you can actually also be saving that child's life.
Oh, absolutely.
And a lot of times too, and teachers don't get that credit.
Even in adult education, when people come back we used to say GED, now it's the task test. We've had ex-cons, ex-gangbangers, ex-drug dealers, etc., so on. We've changed their lives. We've gotten them through the test, and they've gotten jobs with pensions, benefits, keep them out of trouble. And, teachers can really change people's lives regardless of age. And people also forget that sometimes kids come into the classroom, they're hungry. Their parents are going through a divorce. They're being abused in some way, shape, or form. Teachers have to deal with a lot, times 30, 32, 35 kids.
Right,
it's
plus,
not one-on-one.
Right. Plus the curriculum, plus knowing that you have to give certain tests, because if you don't give those tests, then the school's going to lose whatever funding it's supposed to be getting. So you do have the role of much more than just the teacher. You are acting in loco parentis. You are acting in the role of a parent, a big brother, a big sister to a student. And a lot of times people, don't give teachers enough credit. A lot of times too, from my understanding and from what I've seen, and what listen, I sometimes deal with kids who unfortunately leave school and they end up going on a path of crime, from the time that they're younger.
Sure.
And a lot of times, the parents want to turn around and blame the teachers. Okay, you got to first focus on what's happening at home, and then you look to see what's happening at the schools. But the teacher is just doing so much more. There's so much more pressure on you nowadays, because if you do too much and if you spend a little bit time with a student, then there's the negative concept of like, why is he or she spending so much time with my child? What is he or she looking for to do? So they're flipping it on the teacher.
Absolutely. And you're a lawyer, and you often hear the greedy lawyers, the corrupt lawyers. What about the lawyers that are in the community working for next to nothing, helping people, saving people? The media, there's some real positives and real negatives, and often they just don't give people their due. I mean, there are good lawyers. In America, it's like, oh, he's a doctor. He's a doctor. What about the bad doctors that misdiagnose you, over-medicate you? There's got to be some kind of balance.
Speaking of which, did you just see the other day? I want to say it happened in Michigan. There was a doctor who was wrongfully telling his patients that they had cancer.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and he was making to the tune of 17, I think he billed Medicare or one of the insurance companies something like $17 million. So now, first of all, those cancer treating drugs wreak havoc on your body.
They threw the book at him. I read that article.
No, I know they threw the book at him.
And rightfully so.
A couple of 100-year life sentences, but it's not enough. What about all the people that he damaged?
Damaged? I'm sure some of them died from the unnecessary drugs. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I would think so.
But can you imagine what it does to you and your family when you're told that you have cancer and you're having all these drugs in your body?
I could tell you a story. I was misdiagnosed. The doctor told me I had cancer. Not that doctor, only I didn't. So 3 months of unnecessary tests and procedures. I was cut open and I didn't have it. So that was a horror show, believe me. So I don't have the same sense of awe when somebody says, he's a doctor. There are great doctors, there are good doctors, there are terrible doctors, just like
in
any profession.
Right, any profession. The same thing with lawyers, with judges. It goes on and on.
Oh yeah, there are
myself.
hanging judges, and there are fair, caring, loving judges, like anything else.
Right,
of
there
course.
was an expression somebody had, told me the other day, because I sometimes end up doing a lot of night arraignments. When you have an arraignment, you really can't just say it's a 9-to-5 job. When I'm retained on a criminal case, I'm there for the long haul. Whether it's anywhere from 18 to 24 hours that somebody's in the system until they're brought forward before the judge. So I'm there for the long haul, whether I'm sitting in the car making phone calls or at the courthouse or in the area. I really can't do anything because I need to be close by, because once those papers are ready and the case is docketed, I got to stop what I'm doing and get right over to the courthouse, because you have the family that not only retain me because they pay me, but they're sitting around waiting. They want their loved one to come out. So, someone had mentioned there was a judge years ago called "Cut 'em Loose, Bruce."
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so that no matter how bad the charges were, the judge would, release him either with a nominal bail or released in his own recognizance. As a defense attorney, that's great for us. We look like a superstar. It's like, yeah,
Right.
don't worry about him. I'm going to get him out. But yeah, he was known as Cut 'em Loose, Bruce.
Okay, so as a layman, what's worse, the judge who throws some guy selling weed and the judge gives him 7 years, or the judge that lets out somebody potentially dangerous, cuts them loose? What's worse?
Well, speaking from freedom and loss of freedom aspect, it's better to release somebody who has committed crimes and could possibly be a menace to society, as opposed to locking somebody up who's innocent and should never be spending a single day behind bars.
Yeah.
Because the person who commits the crime, is prone to committing crimes.
Sure.
So he or she is going to get locked up again for something else. You're taking somebody who's never been incarcerated before and you're locking them up for something wrongly, whether it's for bad evidence, fake evidence, trumped up charges, and it goes on and on. If it's a false arrest, now you're incarcerating somebody who never should have been there. You're robbing that person of days, hours of his life that he can never get back.
What about back in the 80s when they really toughened the drug laws?
You talk about the Rockefeller laws.
Yeah, I had a ex-girlfriend. Her cousin was arrested with a little too much weed that he was selling, but it was his third offense. They gave him 7 years. He's in there with these violent criminals, and we were always like, that doesn't sound fair to me that, the rapist, the murderer has the same sentence as the guy selling
No,
weed.
it was crazy. Those Rockefeller laws, that's why they were overhauled. But they was insane. And you look back then to now people can openly smoke marijuana in the streets, any place where they want to. And you still have people sitting in jail for those sentences from years ago.
Amazing.
Crazy.
I know
Same thing too with the federal. The federal prison reform needs to be overhauled as well.
I know your time is limited, so tell us about your show.
Today or in general?
No, in general.
I love doing my show. It started out as the Justice Hour, and Jim reminded me that I think it's a little past my 1-year anniversary. So
And that's Jim Savali, whose voice you just heard.
It's like the Wizard of Oz. He's behind.
Like the voice
Behind
of
the
God
curtain.
suddenly booms down.
But it's fun because, when I first started out, of course the show is called the Justice Hour. And as an attorney, at the time I envisioned that every episode and every segment was going to be law related. Whether I was discussing high profile cases, I brought on some clients in the past who have pending cases and they were victims of excessive force and police brutality. And then I brought on various experts, and I like to use my show as a platform where I can get various issues out to the people, to the public, and to educate them. So the show has been evolving over the last more than a year. So it started out, with a lot of legal topics, which I love, but I just wanted to, broaden my horizon, so to speak. So as around the holiday time last year is when I had brought on Sean Raymond, who is a wine enthusiast.
Oh, okay.
And so it was around the holiday time, and I was like, something, I want to get into the spirit of the holiday.
Right.
And I figured, make it a little fun, a little spicy, as well as, putting out the important message of, a lot of holiday parties are coming up. There's going to be, checkpoints with state troopers and DWI checkpoints. Don't drink and drive. Have somebody,
Stay out of jail,
designated.
folks.
Yeah, try and stay out of jail on the holidays
Yeah.
because I really want to spend the holidays with my family as opposed to inside the court system. So try and stay out of trouble, during the holiday season. It's called shopping, not shoplifting. So try and do
I'll
that.
tell you, when I was a kid, I would see guys drinking beer in the car. Things have radically changed over the years.
Yeah,
They
well,
don't
we
play
used to
anymore.
No, we used to drive around with no seatbelts. Who wore seatbelts in the car? It used to be put as many people in the car as possible because somebody only had one car. Everybody's sitting on top of each other. Someone's thrown across somebody's
Yeah.
lap. And you will go to the movie theater. You're going out for the
My
night.
dad used to throw kids in the trunk. Didn't matter.
That too. No,
Didn't matter.
we were in the trunk when we used to go to the drive-in movie theater.
Yeah,
It was
yeah.
kind of like the clown car. See how many people you can put in there.
Right,
So
right,
once
right.
you get there, everyone starts popping out.
Yeah.
Everything changed. A lot of things have changed for the better, and a lot of things I don't think have changed for the better.
That's true.
The more, specifically, the more technology that we have that's supposed to give us more free time actually robs us of our time because we're so focused on our cell phone, our iPads, our tablets, and all that you're losing that interpersonal communication. So it's like, I'm sitting here with you. It's nice to be speaking to you face to face, but
Usually somebody's staring at their phone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you go to,
Which to me is rude.
It is rude, but and everybody does it. I do it myself too. You're sitting at a dinner table. Everyone's like tuning in because I may miss that last tweet or that last posting on Facebook, or the last email. We're all victims of it, and
you're telling somebody about your ill mother who's in the hospital, and they're going, "That's good, that's good." They didn't hear a word you said, right? So.
No, I know, it's terrible. The worst part is actually, you try speaking to the doctor, the nurse, and he or she is actually reading their text messages while I'm trying to get my mother's diagnosis. Right. Yeah. And I'm like, are you actually Googling what's wrong with my mom, or are you checking in with somebody? I'm here. What's going on with my mom?
Yeah, they're checking their movie pass for when they get off their shift. So.
But the show's evolved, and so now what's happened is through my show, I have met some of the most incredible people, whether it be, like I said, experts. We did an anti-bully campaign here, and I've met politicians. I've had politicians on my show. I've met a lot of actors, actresses,
bunch of Italian guys,
a lot of hot Italian actors. Yeah.
Whatever works.
I didn't say hot. I just said a bunch of
Oh, sorry. Excuse me. I had to add with that.
Whatever works.
And it's been amazing. I've gone to movie premieres, and I've just created the most incredible friendships and more through meeting a lot of these people.
And bullying is no joke, because inevitably you'll go online and some kid will hang himself or shoot himself or whatever. I mean, young kids literally committing suicide because of bullying. So this is a serious issue.
Well, we had Steve Mason on my show about a month and a half ago.
Yeah, I met him, yeah.
Right, and Steve did the documentary called 8, and it was all about suicide. Unfortunately, he came upon his father who committed suicide, and he found him, and when he was 8 years old. And so the story that he wrote in that short film is all about him, his father's journey, and then also Steve's journey as far as how he recovered everything that he went through based upon finding his father at 8 years old, and how he went on a dark path in his life, and then he came back, and now he's a very formidable spokesperson about suicide and suicide prevention.
I've had 4 friends kill themselves in my life, and it's a terrible thing each and every time. And sometimes it's because their health is failing, or sometimes it's depression or whatever the case may be. But each and every time, it's you leave a lot of people behind that wish they had done more, wish they had said more. But ultimately, it's the final step in the illness if it's from depression.
Right, but something, it leaves so many loose ends and so many unanswered questions, and then a lot of people taking the blame on, because it's always I wish I said something, I wish I made that phone call, I wish I reached out a little bit more, I wish I saw the signs, or people see signs sometimes, but again, everybody's so busy in their own lives. You just think like, oh, whatever, he's having a bad day, he'll get over it.
Right. Well, since it's the holidays, and since you mentioned that, I agree, but at the same time, I think Americans are very self-involved. And when I read things like, my family means everything to me, well, maybe your friends, your coworkers, your neighbors should mean something to you. Not just your immediate family, including, elderly relatives who may be alone and ailing. And, over the holidays, people need to pick up the phone, spend an hour less on Facebook or whatever. And I'll tell you what happened in my building. I live in an apartment building. They carried an old guy out in a body bag. Nobody even knew his name. Okay? Yeah. This is how impersonal New York is. And then you go, wow, we should have paid attention to this guy. I mean, he didn't kill himself, but right. I'm just saying.
But the sad part is, people say that, and it sounds good at the time. The next day comes, and they go back on with their lives. So they're saying it either to make themselves feel better, to lessen their guilt, or to make themselves sound like amongst everyone's like, oh, it's really terrible. We should have done something. Well, why did you have to wait till you saw the body bag come out?
Of course,
You
of
know?
course. But my point is, if you have an elderly relative, a friend who
Or
may,
neighbor.
or
Elderly
neighbor,
neighbors.
or somebody who's troubled or depressed or whatever the case may be, pick up the phone. You know, it's not that hard. And
Right, or stop by. It's
stop
even better.
by, of
Everybody's
course.
mobile these days. You
Yeah.
know, if you can't use the excuse, I don't have a car. Okay, there's Uber, there's Lyft. You know, there's buses, trains, planes, whatever it
Yeah.
takes. You know, just reach out, because you know something. The highest rate of suicide happens around the holiday time, because people realize they're alone, and that's when the depression kicks in, because you have all these commercials that come on, and every single commercial is beautiful, wonderful. It's like all these families gathered around the Thanksgiving table, then they're gathered around the Christmas tree, and they're
right,
singing
and they think they're the
opening
only
gifts.
ones missing out.
You know?
Yeah.
And they sit there and they look at that, and you're like, wow, I used to have that. For whatever reason, whether people are divorced or separated, or things just happen in people's lives. Either
The
they're
highest rate
alone-
of suicide are middle-aged people. They wake up one day and they go, wow, I screwed up that marriage.
Right.
Wow, I made bad financial choices. My kid's not talking to me. Whatever the case may be, and they feel like a failure, which may not be the case, but they feel that way. And middle-aged people, it's an extremely high rate of suicide. And teenagers would be next, because they feel everything tenfold. My girlfriend broke up with me. My boyfriend broke up with me. It's the end of the world. I failed the regents, whatever. It's the end of the world. And it isn't, but they feel it is.
Because you know something, because to them these are all first time life experiences. When you get to our age, you know, in the mid 40s and up,
I have a trail of girlfriends that broke up with me. Yeah, yeah.
Mid-40s now.
mid 40s and up,
That's right.
in that range of
That's
from
right.
between 40 to 70 in this room.
Well, I'll mention something that relates to you. When we become middle-aged, we become the parents to our parents,
I know,
and that
that's
is
what I'm
not
going through.
easy.
I know.
That is not easy.
It's very
You're going
sad.
through it with your mom, where you go, "Wow, I'm the caretaker. This is not easy." You know.
No, you know what it is too. There's always your parents could have 3-4 children. Okay, there's
There's always one that does the most and one who does nothing.
There's one that does the most.
Yeah.
There's one that does the talking,
Yeah.
and then there's one that's like, I'm busy with my own life.
That's
okay,
right.
That's really great, because you know I know now, and I'm not singling out my brothers because I had to go through this yesterday over at the rehab. You know, unfortunately, thank God my mom is 88 years old, and thank God the surgery from last Saturday went really well.
Thank
but-
God she's still here at 88.
I know.
That's a right
Yeah,
both. That's
like
great.
Piano keys, and you know, and there's nothing wrong with her, which is a beautiful. It's a mitzvah. It's a wonderful thing to know. My mom is not on any medication. She does not have high blood pressure, low blood
Wow.
pressure, cancer. Thank God.
What's her secret?
Nothing. It's the same secret that I have. We sleep in formaldehyde, and we coat ourselves with olive oil, and a lot of seasoning.
Really?
Olive oil really works. It's like olive oil with everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So I think that's the Mediterranean side of from on my mom's side. But my mom's 88. If you look at her, I think she has one wrinkle, and it's probably the one I just recently gave her.
Yeah, I saw her
Well, she's-
picture. She
yeah.
looked like the hip mom, you know?
My
Yeah.
mom is good. My mom was a hat model
Yeah.
when before any of us were born. She was a hat model, and she was a live mannequin in one of the store windows in Manhattan.
Wow.
So
Wow.
back in the day.
Interesting.
Yeah, and then she was taking opera lessons. And because when my mother used to yell at us, it was in like this ridiculous high octave that I think
Yeah.
the dogs ran away
Yeah.
from the neighborhood. Cause it was
Glasses
like,
broke.
totally
Yeah.
shrill, you know. But you're right, as far as like, you know, there's always one that does more. And, you know, I had to sit down yesterday and discuss with my brothers, like, what's the next step? You know, you don't ever envision your parents, you know, having to consider whether it's a nursing home or assisted living, because to me, my mom is my rock. She's
Yeah.
my rock of Gibraltar. She's strong as iron. And so it's hard to realize, like, wow.
But it may not happen at
helping her.
88, but it could happen at 98 when, you know, you hit the wall. At some point people can hit the wall and you have big decisions to make.
And it's it. And now, being the only daughter and the sister, I actually have to basically take on the maternal role of my mom, you know, between my brothers. And, you know, the two of them were going at it yesterday. And I said, there's no more finger pointing about who should have done what. We're past that. Now we have to deal with the here and now.
Right.
And let's collectively work together and figure out what's going to happen to mom. Because I told him, I said, for all of us to walk out of here not talking to each other, it doesn't take care of the fact that mom still needs us. And there's no point in blaming. And we're such a small family. I don't want to end up losing the relationships or losing my brothers over the fact that, my mom's failing health.
Wow.
And that happens.
Well, if she happens to see this show, we wish her a speedy recovery. And please plug your show.
Oh, my show is wonderful. It's called The Justice Hour, and it's on every Sunday from 10 to 11 in the morning here at villageconnectionnetwork.com. And we precede your show because you come on at 11. And, in fact, just to let you know, the upcoming show, I'm not sure what we're doing next week for Thanksgiving. If we're doing a show, I think we're just going to wing it. I'm going to have fun. We're going to have my mini birthday party in here with everybody.
Oh, there you go.
But the following Sunday, I have a guest that's coming on my show that's going to be on your show.
Who's that?
That is the gentleman Ron Gathers from that doo-wop group from 1961 with one of their first 1961 hits.
2 Sundays from now.
2 Sundays
That's
from now,
awesome.
December 2nd.
That's
And so
awesome.
I'm going to be plugging it on my show and on your show.
Okay.
And the man is close to 80, and he still does doo-wop. They did a doo-wop revival. I didn't even realize a doo-wop is still
Oh, yeah,
really
there's
big.
a whole doo-wop circuit. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's amazing to hear him. So he's actually going to be coming in by Amtrak early that morning from Philly.
Okay,
City
great,
of
great.
Brotherly Love. He's coming in with the female singer and another gentleman who may be appearing like through screen Skype or something. I'm not sure yet if they're going to be singing, but I am going to be bringing in one of their CDs so we can actually listen to it.
Awesome.
So
I'm looking forward to that.
First of all, I love being here at the Village Connection Network family because I have met so many friends from all the various shows, and everybody brings something so new and different to the studio here. You don't have the same type of show every week, and you can say, well, if I don't watch Pam's show, it's something the same. I'll watch Evan's show, and everything's different.
Every show has its own feel to it, and also what I mentioned when I was on your show a few weeks ago. It's not a right-wing station. It's not a left-wing station. Everybody's free to speak their mind, and it's nice to have that freedom.
It's also nice to have an arena where we could actually share and trade thoughts and opinions and differences of opinion. And at the end of the day, we walk out of here and we're all still friends. That's what's really nice. Nobody's sitting here attacking each other with no, you have to agree with me. No, I have to agree with you.
Things can get heated, but at the end, everybody does remain friends. And, Steve Miller and I have had some disagreements on immigration, but we're still friends,
You were supposed to be here last week on the couch, but something, when I had the immigration attorney on here, my friend Antonio C. Martinez III, and so when Tony was on here last week, we were talking about immigration issues post, after the midterm elections, and so he was trying to explain a lot of, what is considered an illegal alien. You could have somebody here legally one day because they're on a student visa or a work visa.
Oh yeah, they're
or
legal on
entertainment.
Monday and illegal on Tuesday, and
Right.
people don't understand this. They didn't come in to scam the system. They've been working. They've made friends. They might have a boyfriend or girlfriend. They have 1 foot here, 1 foot there. They have family over there, but severe problems politically, economically. They're torn. It's not a massive scam to
overtake the country.
People don't realize it. Your visa expires just like a license expires. I've had friends who were teachers. They didn't fulfill their license. They lost their job. Licenses expire. Visas expire. People don't realize that it's not this scheme that. Yeah.
But that's what makes it great because, with each and every guest that I have every week on my show, I can pick and choose what the topic is ahead of time. So I know which guest that I want. I don't have to stick to a certain format. It's not like every single week, it just has to be this topic. Something that I am working on, and it's in development right now with myself and a couple of guests that I want to bring on. It's actually almost like teaching civics again, because the last time anyone really dealt with civics was maybe back in high school, many, many years ago, if they even taught it back then. I'm not a product of the public school system, so I'm not really sure what
I'm
they
a
used to
victim of the
teach.
public school system. No, I'm joking. Again, there are great teachers. There are mediocre teachers. There are awful teachers. I had some great teachers in the public schools. Yeah.
Now, I had actually gone to public school once when I was in high school. And I had graduated high school from 11th grade. I skipped grades when I was younger. So I
skipped 8th grade.
Well, I started college at 16.
Yeah, me too.
You too?
Me too. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I had actually gone to summer school one time because I had ruptured my appendix. I believe I was in 9th grade, and so I had missed about 6 weeks of school. And it was around Regents time, and the principal, or the rabbi, actually called my parents in, and they basically told my parents, Mr. and Mrs. Roth, your daughter's going to have to be left back because she missed too much school, and it's Regents. And I was like, I'm not being left back. I mean, I like the class and my students and classmates that I was with since 1st grade. We were such a small, there were only 16 of us. There was 16 girls, 16 boys, and we started from 1st grade together. And he said the other alternative was to go to public summer school. But he made it sound like I was going to Dante's Inferno.
Wow.
He's like, you gotta go to public school. I'm like, okay, great. Anything not to be left back. And I had this wonderful, I believe it was an Italian math teacher, Mr. DeGeorge, I think, or DiGatano. It was a long time ago. But I don't remember the name, unfortunately. But so I ended up having to go to summer school in Oceanside, because we were living in Long Beach. And I chose to do that. And they were really surprised. My parents knew I was going to do it. I've been a fighter from the time I'm little. I'm like, you tell me I can't do something, I'm going to show you I can do it. And I'm going to prove to you how much better I can do it. So I had gone to summer school, no air conditioning. My mother boarded the bus with me every morning from Long Beach into Oceanside to school. And, the teacher understood that I was coming from, private school. I had never been in public school. Some of those kids in public school looked like they were 47 years old, and they were still trying to complete the 9th grade. So he had me in the desk right next to his desk, so I was teacher's pet for the whole summer.
Yeah.
The moral of the story is, it was a great experience. I ended up getting like a 90-something on my Regents when I got back to school. So I was like, I survived public school for the summer. And then after that, went on to college. But he was a wonderful teacher. He really took me under his wing. He realized that I was like petrified of what it was like to be in public school my first couple of days. And it was a great experience. And that was one of the teachers who really stood by me. He made sure I did well. He coddled me, and I did great on the Regents.
You always remember the great ones. You remember their names. If you think back to your education, how many different teachers, professors, going through college, grad school, whatever the case may be, you only remember a handful of names. Those are the great ones.
Speaking of which...
Or the awful ones, one extreme or the other.
I remember one awful one. Because Mrs. Salnick, when I was in 3rd grade, she had these long claws. And they're like, if you didn't get the homework done right, she calls you up to stand next to her at the desk, and she's kind of like sticking her nails into your back of your neck, and you're like, you don't want to make a mistake. You're gonna get clawed by her.
Yeah. Fear is a motivator.
Yeah. But there is one professor who I am actually going to give him a shout out. I actually missed my college reunion at Adelphi University a couple weeks ago, and I had a political science teacher there, Sal Premegio, at Adelphi University. And Sal, thank God, he's still around, he's still alive and kicking, and he's still teaching at Adelphi. He was my poli-sci teacher when I was at Adelphi. And this man was incredible as a teacher. He came in with his full beard, and he just looked like the scruffy professor that you would see
right.
portrayed in the movies.
Yeah.
He lived life to the fullest. He knew anything and everything about everybody and everything. And there was nothing that he couldn't discuss and talk to you about. And so now that I know that he's still alive and kicking and I missed him at the seminar, I actually want to reach out.
You can send them the link to this.
Yeah.
Have him on your show.
I want to bring him to the show. I want to tell him that, something, although I didn't go to law school right away when I had come out of college, my law degree is my 3rd degree. Because I have my graduate from Adelphi University with a BS in biology, pre-med. Right. And then didn't go to medical school right away. I was at the time very into girls just want to have fun. As a club kid. I was like, I don't want to. I'm 20 years old. I figure I have like a couple years before I decide what I want to do when I grow up, which I'm still trying to figure out what I want to do when I grow up.
Right.
Haven't decided yet. And then I got my MBA back at Adelphi University, and then I worked on Wall Street, and then I went to law school. Wow. But I always had in the back of my head that I wanted to be an attorney because number one, I want to work for myself. I want to make a difference. I want to be the person who speaks up for people who don't have a voice. And speaking before, like you said, there's good attorneys and bad attorneys. As an attorney, we're also counselors, like you said, like teachers are. And a lot of times, there's things that I do that I don't ask to get paid for. If someone calls me for advice, if someone comes to my office for advice, I don't have the heart to sit there a lot of times, and charge, a consultation fee. I say like it's 15, 20 minutes free consultation. If you're going to sit in my office for 2 hours, I'm charging you a consultation fee at that point because it's 2 hours of my time. But a lot of what I do, I don't charge for, and I just feel it's going to pay it forward. And somebody says like, well, how do I repay you? You know something? Just tell, whoever it is that you speak to that, I'm one of the good guys. Attorneys always get a bad rap. They're
So
more
tell the
attorney jokes than
audience how they
anything.
can reach you.
Okay, my office right now, I'm located in Brooklyn at 2747 Coney Island Avenue, Brooklyn, New York, 11235. It's the law office of Pamela S. Roth. And I will give out my cell number. You can reach me on my cell phone. It's the easiest way. Is 917-309-5498. I handle all types of personal injury cases, all kinds of criminal cases, both state and federal, everything from DUI cases all the way up to murder cases. And recently started getting involved handling entertainment law and, of course, excessive force and the police assault cases.
Wow.
So I have a lot of cases in the media. If anybody wants to know more about me, you can Google me. Google Pamela Roth and Rikers Island, and that'll bring up at least all the most recent high-profile cases that I've had in the newspapers.
There you go,
I've been doing
Pam.
it for a while.
Thank you so much for appearing. Really appreciate
Thank
it.
you so much. I really appreciate it because I love being on your show, and I love
And
just
vice versa.
trading everything back and forth with
Vice
you.
versa.
Have a happy early Thanksgiving.
Oh,
I'll
you
wish
too.
that to you
And to
Jim.
all the viewers and Jim and the Village Connection family.
Thank you so much.
Okay. See you soon. Thank
Take
you.
care.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you. All right. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, I don't want to get up yet. Can I get up?
Another shot to make it strong, a sober night to shake it off, another night to make it on. Feels so exciting, a hot kiss could start a fire. Whatever it is can make you
right, we are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at villageconnectionradio.com. And we are joined by my buddy, Vinny the Guido, wrestling manager extraordinaire and also an actor. So introduce everybody, Vinny.
Well, my lovely fiance, Zainab Ali.
And you've been fiancés for about 37 years now,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we want to do the wedding here.
We'll do it right here, right on Village
That's
Connection,
right.
yeah. She's a PA for the for the Bound. Yeah, for the Bound. Yes. Forgive me, I only had like a half hour sleep, so for almost like the entire weekend. But yes, the Bound is a mafia web series, and if anybody loves mafia movies or mafia stuff, that's on HBO and stuff like that.
Ironically,
Soprano,
I just acted in a mafia web series myself, Nick Sargenti, with Chris Anino, director, out in Connecticut. So I can relate to this.
Oh yeah, and of course we got Paul X Diaz. We got my boy Jamie Matei. How do you spell it? Mattis. Yes, Mattis. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I'll let these guys explain what they do because they could explain it way better than I could. And
Tell us about Bound.
Yeah, these are my boys right here.
So the Bound I came up with an idea that we needed something out mafia-ish since The Sopranos has been dead for a while now.
Right.
So, but I twisted it a little bit by adding the Portuguese element to the Bound. Is short for the Ironbound. It's a section in Newark, New Jersey. And there's also been stories that they have been tied to the Italian mob. They have restaurants there and stuff that were doing a lot of crazy stuff. I'm not really going to incriminate a lot of things here on the mic, but
Yeah.
and the story goes is it's two brothers. They run a cocaine empire. They have ties to the Italian mob, who they kick, a percentage up to. And the Bound is what they have to protect from Russian mobsters who are trying to invade their territory, as well as street gangs. So, and then it goes from there, pretty much your gangster movie, your gangster TV series type of, a little bit of The Sopranos mixed with The Wire is the best thing I could explain to it.
My character's Giovanni.
Okay.
I'm like the head hitman to the main, to the boss.
The Italian mob.
Yeah, and the Italian mob. Well, obviously it's not the Irish mob, but yes, I'm part of the Italian mob of. I'm not part of the Irish or the Russian or none of that. It's I'm Italian, straight up.
And why a web series as opposed to a full-length feature? What made you decide on this?
Well, a full-length feature, it's you have your beginning and your end, and it has to end a certain way, right? With the web series, you could change your mind a million times. You could say, okay, this season I'll end it this way, next season I'll end it that way, and have another gang or another crew come into it. You know what I mean? And with a movie, you have your beginning, and like I said, you have your end. It starts a certain way, and you kind of know how it's going to end and play out. But with the web series, you never know.
Now, HBO and major cable channels scour web series.
Right.
Girls and other hits have come from web series. So is this the forum that's, the most attractive these days to...
I think so.
Yeah, I think so.
I think so,
this is the way to
absolutely.
go. I mean, proof's in the pudding with the YouTube Red with the Cobra Kai series.
Mhm.
It's been a major hit. And
Cobra Kai.
so it has,
Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is the way to go nowadays. Everyone could watch it on their phone. I mean, it's the way to go. Even if you want to do a live series, a live web series, everyone nowadays is streaming live and stuff like that. So it's it's very easy to do, and you're kind of cutting out the middleman by doing this.
It's only easy if you know it.
Yeah.
You're doing
Well,
it.
I mean-
You're doing it. A lot of people are talking about it. You're doing it. There's
That's
a difference.
that's the difference between us. There's a lot of people out there talking about it. There's a lot of people out there selling T-shirts, and then you see them going on vacation. There's a lot of scam artists out there that are saying they're doing things, but they're not. And we know where we're at. We know it's a low-budget film, but you can put a good movie out for low budget still if you got the right people in place. And we're bringing real streets to this. A lot of people claim this, a lot of people claim that. I grew up in Lakeview Housing Projects in Saraville, New Jersey. You know, my mother's rent was $53 a month. I am street. I turned my life around. I'm in a different direction now, but we're going to bring streets to the film for real on this web series, and that's what sets us apart from other web series.
I grew up in East Flatbush, Brooklyn in the 60s and 70s. Our rent was $148, so I could relate.
I got lots of family in Brooklyn and all 5 boroughs.
I could relate. So tell us about your role in Bound.
I've got a major role in this one. I'm a lead character, and I'm just a wild guy. You know, if you act up, and I take care of you. Period.
There you go.
No exceptions.
And you seem to be just right for the role.
It's what I did for a living for
Amen.
many years. It's how I, it's how I fed myself for many years.
Really?
Yeah.
You,
Well,
should,
that's
write,
the
you,
thing.
should write, you should write a book.
People that got books out, I got a lot of friends that got books out, and I'm not saying nothing bad about them, but a lot of them people serve time on them crimes, and a lot of people turn state's evidence as well, not mentioning names, but I can't put a book out because I'm not going to incriminate myself on anything, and
Change the
But I was
names.
a real
Change the
deal.
names to protect the guilty.
well,
Yeah.
that's the next movie. I'm doing a movie on my life right after this one, same production company. You know, we got a lot of projects we're going to shoot. This is just a platform for those projects, and hold on, it's going to be a thriller.
So for the people, let me just say something. I've been an educator for decades. I had a lot of former drug dealers, gangbangers.
I dealt with all of them.
They
Every
changed.
gang
They,
you could think of.
they changed their lives. They went to school, got an education. You know, after doing time again and again and again, one student was shot 7 times, once in the throat. He says, "I got to get out of this. I'm either going to die or end up in prison." So came to school, got an education, got his GED, got a straight job, pension, benefits. So people can change their lives.
Absolutely, I'm proof of that. You
So
know,
tell
I've
us a little about
I've-
yourself.
I've been in all that. You know, I've been baseball batted. I baseball batted people. I've been shot. I've been stabbed. I ran with every gang you could think of. You know, I dealt with Crips. I dealt with Bloods, Latin Kings, Nietas, MS-13. I dealt with all of them, and mob guys. You know, real street guys. And I'm the first to tell you that life's garbage. And all these movies, they glorify that life. In my movie I'm doing, I'm going to show the people that life's garbage. And I changed my life. I know it's possible that they could change theirs. You know, I've been bettering myself every day the last 2 years. You know, I've set goals and punched them in the face. You know, I just quit smoking 7 months now after 25 years of smoking.
Wow.
You know, once you set a goal,
So you're disciplined.
that's once I seen it was possible. You know, I'm from the streets of New Jersey, and now I deal with people in Hollywood. You know, I sit with major people that play major roles in Hollywood I'm friends with, and that's great that I got to meet the people that I looked up to, and I hang out with them on a regular basis. They're people just like you and me, and once you see what you're capable of, you just keep going. And I want to inspire other people to quit smoking, or, you know, if you got a dream and you gave up on that dream, you know, it's never too late. You know, life's short though, so I encourage you to set goals, and I encourage you to do those things.
Wow. You could do a documentary just on him.
Forget about it.
Absolutely.
Well, that's the thing. Everybody,
No, seriously.
most of the people that are involved. I mean, I can show you scars too. Just a stab wound here. I mean, everyone that's involved in this has been in the streets, knows people in the streets, connected guys and everything. So it's the real deal. This web series is the real deal. It's not something that, you know, people make up and, you know, they live in a nice quiet town, and you know what I mean. It's real people that lived it. And it's like real.
And if you're still living it, I promise you, you will end up dead or in prison. I promise you. I bury so many of my friends. I'm 41 years old. I turned 41 November 2nd. And I buried so many friends already, and I'm still
Wow.
young myself. And I promise that's where you're headed. Get out of that life. There's no honor amongst thieves. It's never too late. If you got to move out of the state you're in because you're worried about repercussions, whatever you got to do it. Take your families, get out of it, move on. It's not worth it. You're going to spend the rest of your life in prison for somebody who wouldn't do the same for you. So there's one way out. It's dead or in prison. So get out of it, and there is a third way out. You could get out of it like I did. You just walk away, be your own man. You could be a good person in life and still be a tough guy.
Sure.
I don't consider myself weak. I consider myself a tough guy for God. You know, there's a saying I heard in a movie once, and it's so true. There's wolves that kill the sheep, and then there's another breed of a dog that's a sheepdog, and it protects the sheep from the wolves.
Right.
I'm a sheepdog. I'm
There
not
you
a punk, but I'm not a bully. You know what I mean? You could be cool and stay in school. You know what I mean? Like, that's the cool thing to do. Do the right thing. The people that were retarded like me when I was younger, I made it a lot, didn't. The nerds in school, they're the cool guys. They're the ones with the big houses.
That's
they're the
right.
ones with the
That's
hot
right.
wives and the new cars, and they're going on vacation. The other guys, they're doing life in prison if they're still alive. Get out. Do yourself a favor and follow your dreams and do the right thing.
Did you ever consider also being a counselor or being a motivational speaker? Because I could see you could pull that off.
You know, like, not really. I'm a carpenter. That's what I know. I build houses and I know the streets. That's the two things I knew. My one son, he's 21 now.
Wow.
He grew. I raised him on street money. You know what I mean? Now I got an 8-year-old and I raised him on carpentry money. And that's the right way to live. You know, and I'm glad I do. And my kids are great. My son, he's in the Navy. He's a nuclear engineer. That's the kind of young man that I raise.
Wow.
I run a tight ship.
There you go.
My kids will never do what I did. I told my kid when he was growing up, I'd jump rooftops so you don't have to.
Just hearing this for the past few minutes, I want to see the web series Bound. No, really, I could see it's going to be legit. Yeah.
It's a real deal.
Yeah.
I got 2 of my friends doing life now for murder, so it's a real deal. It's a real deal. But you know, we're also showing the side that, you know, it starts off this way, but it ends up this way.
So how far would you like to take this? Where would you, if you had your dream come true, where would Bound end up?
I would say with a Netflix or even a YouTube Red, you know, anyone that could pick it up and show it to the world. Because I mean, we can only do so much on our part. You know what I mean?
And let me just say this: like when these guys came to me with this project, I was like, I'm in, I'm sold, because I was like, this is a great thing that I want to be a part of. And then I brought in my fiance and I introduced them to her.
And what's your role in this?
I am a PA, and I basically, when they approached Vinny, I said to Vinny, you know what, this sounds like an amazing project. I would love to help out, Paul. You know, I would love to help them out. You know,
and
with
Paul's like,
anything
yeah,
they
absolutely.
need.
He's like, you know,
with anything they
these
need.
are good people right here, you know, and their project that to me makes a lot of sense. And I'm like, you know, it's got to be better than anything else that's ever been seen before, because this is more real, you know.
I've done thousands and thousands of shows since 1990, and people will, you know, plug their shows, and I'll go, that sounds stupid. This sounds great. I would watch this.
Let me tell you
I
something
would watch
different
this.
too. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Let me tell you something different about this project we're on. I just came off of The Irishman. I filmed on The Irishman, $140 million project. Martin Scorsese. I work with Robert De Niro, Al Pacino, and everything. But a guy like me, you're treated like movable furniture, if you will. You know, I was just on Creed 2 movie set. You know, I've been doing this about 10 years now. I got to brush shoulders with a lot of people. And on this project, I don't care if you're holding a microphone or if you're a lead role like me. Everybody's an equal. You know, everybody gets invited to the after parties. Everybody's going to be right there. If I eat steak, everybody eats steak. That's how I grew up, and that's how this movie's going to be ran. And it don't matter if you're, like I said, holding a microphone, if you're a lead guy. Everybody's treated as an equal, and, you know, if we can get this thing to go somewhere, everybody that was involved in the beginning is going to go with us. You know, there's some people that you know, might not want to be in the show right now that we asked, let's say, or so, but when I put out this first one,
They're gonna kick themselves.
they're going to be banging on my door. It's too late. Whoever was riding with us from the beginning, I plan to eat with the people I starved with.
I was one of the producers on The Rustler with Mickey Rourke, and Darren Aronofsky treated everyone with respect. Just his mom was a teacher, treated everybody decently, and that's the way to do it.
You treat people how you want to be treated.
And I saw the other side where people would be late, unreliable, and you know they gently speak to them, but eventually, if it kept happening, they were no longer there.
Well, we had problems this morning, and a lot of people were supposed to come, but when I heard of it this morning, the first thing I did, if I tell someone I'm gonna be somewhere, I'm there.
Well, you're
Hands
here.
down. You
You're
ask,
here.
You ask
Yeah.
anybody about Jamie M. If I say I'm gonna be I always tell I'm the realest person you're ever gonna meet on Facebook. Everyone says they're this, everyone says they're that, and then when you meet them in person, they're nothing like they are.
Okay.
When I meet you, when I tell you I'm going to meet you in New York, or I'm going to meet you here, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to film a movie, if I say it, take that shit to the bank.
There you
It's
go.
happening because I'm a man of my word, and we don't have that no more nowadays. And that's how I was brought up, and that's how I am on everything in life. If I say I'm going to do something, I do it. If I say I did it, it was done. Period.
I could see you being a good actor because you're very intense,
I appreciate
but in a good
that.
way.
I appreciate that.
No, seriously. So tell us more about the series.
Okay, well, the series, I have it as 8 episodes for season 1. We're pretty much almost wrapped up with the second episode as we speak. And
Now, this is an hour each?
No, actually, I think it goes from about 15
They're like
to
shorts.
to
Okay.
about 18 minutes an episode.
But still, that's a lot of content.
So
That's
once-
not easy.
Yeah, once said and done, it'll probably be about 2 hours.
Yeah, 2.5 hours.
Now, why do you set it at 15 to 18 minutes? Do you think the attention spans are shorter today? Or?
Yes, exactly.
Interesting.
And now that's 10, 15 minutes of action.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, you look at these other shows that are 30 minutes on TV, you got 15 minutes of commercials.
Right.
So, I mean,
yeah.
if you add that up,
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be the length of a long feature
Sure.
when it's done. So, and you know what? We're going to put it out there at an affordable price for everybody that can watch it.
Yeah.
And that's going to be the stepping stone for season 2. You know, maybe we got a budget, we got better actors. I got a lot of good friends that are actors. I just came from my friend Joseph DeFiorio from the Bronx Tale from Dangerfields the other night, and Angel Salazar from Scarface, a couple of my friends.
He
And I
was
got a lot-
down at the studio, right?
Yeah, I got a lot of friends in good places. So
Yeah.
we're going to hope to bring all those guys on our show. And the
Yeah.
guy that got me into acting, who knew I was a street guy, my good friend Rick Borgia from Staten Island, who was on a ton of stuff. Great actor, you know. And we're going to bring a lot of other people on once we get a little bit more of a budget, you know. And then we'll get better locations and everything. So this is just
Angel Salazar has a serious resume.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah,
good
yeah.
peoples. He's good peoples.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
he's a great guy. He did a great show. Him and Joseph DeFiorio. They did a killer show at Dangerfield the other night. Funny.
So, Vinny, tell us about your part in Bound.
Well, basically, the boss wants somebody hit. I hit him.
There you go. and he's
Bottom
laughing.
line. You know, take no shit, you know.
Yeah. He's actually playing.
What boss you want me to...
Giovanni. He's playing the underboss to the Italian mob. So he's the right hand.
Did
man.
you ever consider using some wrestlers in there? Some of the wrestlers are tough guys.
Yeah. I actually
Yeah.
spoke to Vinny about that.
Yeah. We don't really want
I
to
got a
give
friend
away
in the
season 2
wrestling
yet.
that does the
but,
wrestling
you know.
industry that grew up in the housing project with me. You might know him. His name's Gene Regan. He's been doing this.
What's
since I was
what's
a
his
kid.
wrestling name?
I think he calls him KG4 or something. They come out in like prison suits and stuff. He's been
Oh,
doing
okay.
this for so long now.
Okay.
Yeah, we're not going to give away season 2 yet, but we got some things in the project.
Greg the Hammer Valentine was just sleeping in my house last week.
Oh, really?
He
I
looks
love
like the real
Greg.
deal if you want to use
I
him.
love Greg.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he's actually in the 350, right? 350
Yeah.
days and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So yeah.
I was one of the producers on
Yeah.
350 Days. Bret Hart, Greg Valentine, superstar Billy Graham.
Yeah, they know about the movie, the
Wrestler.
wrestler with Mickey Rourke too. They know you had a hand in that also.
Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good
But
stuff.
so I respect that you're doing quality work as opposed to just churning something out, because there's such a glut of content, and I would guesstimate 80-90% of it's crap. So
Yeah.
that you guys want to do something real and
Yeah.
something powerful,
And again, there's a lot of people out there. I'm not going to mention no names. But there's a lot of people out there filming this, they're filming that. Fucking 3 years, excuse my language, 3 years go past. You
It's
see
it's
nothing.
internet radio. You could curse.
You know,
You can say
Yeah.
cocksucker,
He-
motherfucker, fuck, cunt, cock, and pussy. It's okay.
People
Yeah.
are asking for donations on these projects. And 2-3 years go by and still nothing.
Right.
That's ridiculous. Now, and again, I understand that's how some of the movies are. You know, I film stuff and it take a year and a half to come out, but 3-4 years, asking people for money, and then next thing you know, they're on vacations and this. Come on,
So it becomes a
are they
scam.
are they a filmmaker scam artist? We're gonna film this.
They're filming their vacations.
Yeah, we're gonna film this, and it's gonna come out. And you can laugh at it if it's no good or not, but you're going to respect the fact that we said we're going to do something and we do it. That's what sets us apart from these other low budget movies. I don't care if we got to shoot it on my camera. We're going to get this out to the public and we're going to take it somewhere. And it's just the beginning.
I just saw a movie called Tangerine that was shot on an iPhone,
You could.
and it was tremendous.
Listen, you could do a low budget film and have a good project.
The Beastie Boys shot a film on iPhones.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
A lot of these
Nowadays,
phones got
technology.
better cameras than low budget cameras.
Yeah,
Well, the red camera's a good camera.
That's a good
But,
camera.
yeah,
that's a real big thing.
yeah.
But,
But
how
still,
much
yeah.
does that cost?
Yeah, fortune. Yeah.
You know, that's not. It's and that's still low. You know, I was on, like I said, on some of these movie sets. I'm looking at these cameras. You know, they go for $500,000. You know, it's crazy.
I think what separates us too is that it's raw. You know what you get with us is raw.
They're
You're
de-aging
gonna get
Robert De
blood,
Niro.
You're gonna get bloody scenes. You're gonna get nudity scenes. You're gonna get. It's just raw.
That's my favorite part, the nudity scenes.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
These guys are serious. This guy's always joking.
I'm just trying to lighten up the mood here, guys.
Vinny the Guido. So are you billed as Vinny the Guido, or are you using your real name?
That's up to these guys, whatever they want to do.
That's his
man.
state. That's his
game for
wrestling
it.
name.
Vinny DeGuido. We're gonna stick with
That's
Vinny
his
DeGuido,
wrestling name.
VTG.
Now, so let me ask you something. Since we're in these politically correct times, might somebody be offended by that?
Who gives a shit?
Yeah, we don't really care to be honest.
We don't give a fuck.
Yeah, we don't really care.
Yeah, we never care.
Yeah, the way we're doing.
But what if a
everything is just-
potential investor is offended by that?
Well, we find another investor.
Okay.
I want like
Authenticity.
I want
Yeah.
anyone with this project. I want them to feel about this project like it's their own project. And if you don't feel that way, I'll whack you off. I promise.
Now, when you say wacko, no,
Yeah.
You want to find out?
no, I'm good. I'm good.
Now, let me say something about the film business in general. You are the best salesman for this product because I can see your heart is in it. You
I
you believe in this.
I am
Yeah.
this product.
Yeah.
I am the bound. That's
That-
why I made sure I gathered guys up, and we're here because I made it happen. Because I'm not gonna. If the bound that I'm affiliated with said we were gonna be here, we're gonna be here.
There you go. There you go. But the best salesperson is someone who sincerely believes in it and pitches it and promotes it.
Definitely.
See, that's another issue. You could have the best product in the world if nobody understands promotion. You know.
That's true in life on all platforms. That's why I'm a good businessman now, and that's why I was a good street guy, because I believed in that. I believed that there was a brotherhood. I believed that there was honor and loyalty. And when you see that don't exist no more, that's what made me walk away from it, and that's what made me help change my life. That and my children. But I believed it, and that's why I was good at it, because I was what they call a 24/7 gangster when I was in the streets. I was about it at any time. You know, you didn't think of death or repercussions like jail or anything. Now, I'm terrified of death. I don't want nothing to do with jail. I'm a different person, literally.
That's great.
You know what I mean? Literally.
That's
different person.
inspirational. That's
I think that separates us too from most people. We could have came here in nice suits.
You come here and
It's just raw with us.
this
It
is
is
how
what
I
it is,
am.
you know
This
what
is
I mean?
me. You're getting me. How you see me talk, how you see me dress. This is me in real life. I am who I am. I don't try to be like anybody else. And I think that's what makes good acting also. You know, if you're acting the part,
Yeah.
it's hard to sell the part. When I'm on set, I'm just being me. That's it.
Okay. So, as an actor, if somebody said, I need you to play a comedy role, I need you to play a romantic lead, could you pull that off?
I think I could, and I'll tell you why. That's who I am in real life. I'm a cook at home.
Okay.
You know, I don't order pizza. I make it myself.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm a family guy. I got a daughter that's 22. I got a son that's in the Navy that's 21, and I got an 8-year-old. So I lived that also. You know, I lived both worlds. You know, and there's a lot of guys out there like that worse guys than me, straight killers, that would go home and feed their children at night. And, you know, you look at that person sometimes, you're like, yeah, how do you do that? You know, you're doing these things. But to them, it's a job. That's how they fed their family. And like I said, I believed in it so much that that's what made me good at it. But I seen the light. And I guess a lot of these guys, they don't see the light, or it takes some people longer to see the light, and maybe you don't have that much time. Maybe before they see the light, they go to prison, or they meet their demise by being murdered. I was lucky. I seen a light maybe through my children. You know, they made me softer when I was young. I had my first kid at 16. I've been living on my own since 16.
Wow.
You know, so
I know a lot of people. Prison was a revolving door.
And
In,
my
out,
bro-
in,
my
out,
brother
in,
had it,
out. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and he did half the crime that I did, but
Wow.
I did it with the right people, and he didn't. So that didn't. That you look at my brother, and people look down at him from his rap record. You look at me. I don't even have a rap record. You're not supposed to. When a real guy that does it right, you're not supposed to know about who I am. You're not supposed to, have a record. If you do it right and you don't get caught.
This is your chance to confess everything. No, I'm
I
kidding.
confess
kidding.
I confess to God. I confess to God,
There you
and I
go.
thank God every night that He brought me out of that, and I thank Him for giving me work each day to feed my family, and for giving me these opportunities to quit smoking and to be in these projects. And I thank Him every night when I break bread. I don't go to church. I'm not a church. I've never. My dad was a street guy. I was raised like this. Like we didn't go to church as a kid, but yet I believe in God still, and I believe like. I could talk to Him from this chair if I want. I don't have to be in church. So every night when I break bread with my family, we pray real quick, and that's But you're not going to see Jamie M in a church anytime soon. But I do believe in God, and I try to live the right way now, and I'm good with that.
Another thing that I say all the time is you get a guy like Tom Cruise, who's 5'5", 160 pounds or whatever. This guy's an action hero. You look more convincing to me than a guy like that. It's so sometimes realism
That's
would
what
work.
sells, baby.
Yeah.
That's exactly.
It's like The
what
Rock
sells.
is convincing,
Yeah.
right?
Well, on our movie
Yeah.
set we do something different too. We do ad libbing.
Yeah.
So when you watch this, that's not all script. When I go in, if I don't like if I think a street guy ain't gonna talk like that or whatever, I just go and I just say what I gotta say as long as we're on the same topic, and that's why you're gonna see it's gonna look more real too. Because when I'm talking on set, I'm talking like I'm talking to you right now.
Yeah.
When you're trying to remember a line and try to say stuff word for, and you're trying to be something you're not,
It's not real.
you come across as a fake, as a phony. That's why a lot of undercover cops have a hard time. They're trying to play a street guy, and they're not necessarily a street. You want a good cop? A good cop's a guy that was from the street. He'll make a good detective. He'll make a good cop. So in our movie, you get that. If I'm not saying everything word for word, and we're just flowing and saying it, so it comes off more natural.
There you go. We have some video clips we're going to show. Jim Savali.
Jimbo.
There's nothing like a little advance notice.
There you go. That was the cue.
That's all right. He's good.
That was
He
the
got
cue. Yeah.
Put you on the spot there, Jim.
And this is from the web series Bound.
So talk amongst yourselves first.
Okay.
Clip,
We'll
do it.
We'll do it.
Do it, damn it.
So Zainab, what's it
Show
been
the
like?
clip
What's
when
it been
you get
like
clipped.
working on this? Oh, we're good.
Oh.
We got it. We got it.
Three, two, one.
You just put me on the spot. What do you want them to whack me on your set for real? Like, what's wrong with you?
That would be good ratings. Yeah. Guest kill guest on radio show. Anyway. So, are we sending another
Yeah,
clip?
I'm actually trying to get this thing.
Okay, so let me
Pretty
talk.
long.
The reception's pretty bad too. I tried logging on to the web thing, but to your email, to your
Wi-Fi.
hotspot, if you will, but
Okay.
it's not really
If
working.
not, we just got a little taste of it. So, Zainab, tell us about your role.
Well, I am a PA for the Bound, and you know, I said because when they approached Vinny, I said to Vinny, I said, "Oh, please let Paul know if they need help with anything. I'm down." So, because it was very interesting. The concept was very, very interesting. So, you know, they had me do their. They had me as a production assistant, which I'm grateful. It was an amazing experience. Especially, you know, seeing different scenes and everything, and it's like, wow, oh my God, it's so awesome just to see that up close, you know, like the just the crazy scenes. I don't want to give anything away, but just the crazy scenes you see on TV.
Okay, so when we say crazy scenes, without any spoilers, give us a taste of what we're going to see.
Well, in the Raven Night Social Club back in the day, the guys they would have guys up over there, so you might get a little of that. You know, it's not uncommon to see
Hacking
that.
guys up.
Yep.
Literally, they would cut them up. You know, that's what they would do. You know, they
Wow.
would hang them upside down. They leak them out. They cut them up. They put them around the city. You know, that's
Wow.
what they would do in different containers. You know, that's one way. That's an unconfirmed. You have two kind of hits. It's either a confirmed hit where they leave you, they make an example out of you, or it's an unconfirmed where you just go bye-bye. No body, no crime. So in this movie, we're going to bring a little bit of all that. You know, some people, we leave them in the streets, and some people, we get rid of them.
There's also the help of a crooked detective, so that helps out too, you know.
That's just also another unfortunate thing that happens in the streets, because
Yeah.
there's good and bad on all platforms. There's good whites, there's bad whites, there's good, but all colors, there's good people, all in all nationalities.
My late uncle was a bad cop,
Yeah.
and that's as far as I'll say. But
Yeah.
so I know.
So
I
that's
know.
in our
Yeah.
movie too. Like, we're trying to bring realism to it, so that there's a little bit of all that. If you can imagine it, if you heard stories of it happening growing up or something, it's probably going to be in the web series at some point.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not like the mafia movies or the mafia stuff that you're used to seeing. This is coming off as more legit, real as anything.
The mafia's more that when you see them movies, it's more just the Italian. We're bringing in all platforms of the
Yeah.
streets of New Jersey.
This is gonna come off very real.
Yeah.
It's Jersey. It's what happens in Jersey. It's what happens in a town. You know, that's another thing too. Like, people, you know, you get in these suburban areas, you think it don't happen. Believe me, where there's a place, an opportunity for a legal empire to rule, whether it be sports betting, prostitution, gambling, drugs, that happens in every place around the world. And it could be in a mansion, it could be in a housing projects.
Mm-hmm.
It happens everywhere. You know, that's just a sad fact of life.
How realistic was The Sopranos?
They were pretty good. I mean, The Sopranos was great. They did great. You know,
So they
it's
did their
great acting.
homework.
Well, if you do your homework, the Cavalcante family that runs New Jersey, there was actually made guys. They got recordings of them. You know, they're saying, you know, I think Tony Soprano's playing, you know, this guy, or I think this character's playing what's his name.
Interesting.
So, you know, they definitely did at some point, and then at some point it's not. I mean, at some point it's a fairy tale. You got a guy writing it who wasn't.
Well, you have
know,
poetic license.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, it was great. I mean, I love The Sopranos. You know, I thought it was great.
Well, they said even Al Capone, they said he loved his son. His son was deaf, and he really, you know, was very fatherly with him. And, you know, there's going to be a good side and bad side with anybody.
Yeah.
Sure.
To them, like I said, when you believe in it, when you're wholeheartedly believe that that's your brother, and he'll never do you wrong, and this is that, and there's honor, you're gonna, you know, it's them people, they believe it, man. They live it. Those guys live it every day. Like I said, I got lucky. I seen that it was bullshit, which it is.
So, without any specific examples, do you have any guilt over anything you did in the past?
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, absolutely. You know, I wasn't, like I said, I did things that I'm not proud of, but I also changed my life around, you know, and I believe I would get forgiveness for anything I did, wrongdoing I did from Jesus, and I genuinely felt bad about some things I did, but I was one of them guys also where I wasn't a scumbag neither in the street, you know what I mean? I wasn't that guy, you know, I was a good, you know, when I went to collect sometimes, if the guy didn't have it, I could read a guy, if I knew he really was down on his time or something, I might put it out of my pocket for him so he didn't get a smack,
Wow.
you know what I mean? So I was always a little different that way, I guess, but you know, again, when that's how you feed your family, you do what you got to do. You know what I mean?
Interesting. So tell everybody where they could see Bound and you know, plug all your various social media, whatever you want to plug.
Well, yeah, once it's done, I'm hoping it's done by mid-April 2019. I'm looking to put it on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
So it'll be 8 episodes. I would assume about 15, like I said, maybe 18 at most, an episode. It'll be affordable for everybody. And there's a Bound page, right?
Yeah.
There's a Bound page on Facebook.
Under
You
the
can-
Bound, search it.
where we actually put up postings and stuff, and castings and all that stuff too. So, pretty much
And
that's it.
hey, again, these are positive people on this project. Don't get it twisted with what we're filming.
Yeah.
Right.
We're just, you know,
Yeah.
it's entertainment at this point in our lives, you know, and
I'm very grateful for you guys having us
and
on
if you wanna back good people, you're gonna back us. You know, we're gonna give you something good. It's gonna be street, but we're good people. At the end of the day, we're not that type of
Vinny's
people no more.
Vinny's my buddy. So
Yeah.
is Zainab.
So don't think bad of
Even
us.
though
I
I'm an
don't.
asshole
You
to
know.
most people, I'm pretty cool with them. So.
Anything you guys want to plug?
I'm about this project, man. Today, I could plug other things other times I come on your set, but right now it's
You
the
worked
Bound.
for the SWF last night, and
Yes,
they're
I did,
our
actually, yeah.
sponsors. So plug them.
All right. Well, Modern Vintage Wrestling. You know, Charlie Armstrong is the promoter, and we did Modern Vintage Wrestling show over at Matt Tremont's school on Friday night
Right.
over at H2O Wrestling. Yeah, we did it. We did wrestling. We did a Modern Vintage Wrestling show there Friday night. I worked at Robbie E. Because the Modern Vintage Wrestling show before that, I was like color commentary. I did color commentary, and you know, I believe that, you know, in my color commentary position, I was saying that Robbie E is a poser and he's a ripoff of the Jersey Shore, and I hate Robbie E. He panders to the crowd all the time because he has this big ego and blah blah blah. So, you know, we made it a storyline. When Robbie E came out on the microphone and did an open challenge, I came out and I'm like, you know, and I, you know, ran him down. And then, of course, he called me a douchebag and the crowd popped, you know, stuff like that. We had a good time working with each other. Robbie E and I, we've shared many locker rooms together plenty of times, and we never really got to work with each other until now, so we're actually pretty happy about that.
And last night you were at the
last
SWF, right?
Last night I got the shit kicked out of me by Abyss and Mecca.
Abyss.
Abyss
He's a
and
big
Mecca,
boy.
Yeah, Abyss and Mecca. I was managing the Dawson brothers, you know, we went against, and you know, they went against Mecca and Abyss, and of course I tried to, you know, get involved, and you know, and of course there's little old me and there's four big guys in the ring, and you know, I tend to piss off the wrong ones, and Mecca and Abyss kicked my ass, and
Yeah.
you know how that goes.
And Abyss is more than capable.
Yes, and the Modern Vintage Wrestling did we just had a that was the Modern Vintage Wrestling match, which was a part of SWF, which is a sponsor of your show there, Evan.
That's right.
And Rob Fury, you know.
And they'll be in Toto in New Jersey on February 9 at the Passaic Valley Elks Lodge.
As a matter of fact,
That's
yes.
right.
And they also did they did a seminar with Abyss, and they did tryouts for people who want, and there was like a whole bunch of different promoters from all across the Northeast. And there was a few I think there was like 2 promoters from the South were there. And these guys just, you know, a lot of the wrestlers, like, you know, they did tryout matches in front of all the promoters, and the ones that were good got picked up, and it was a great experience. And Abyss was there, and all the promoters gave, you know, and including Abyss, gave their advice of, you know, what to, you know, if it sucked, they gave them advice what to do to help correct it for next time, and blah blah blah. it was very, it was very inspiring. Me and Pitbull, Gary Wolf, were sitting next to each other, just watching it all.
Gary
go
Wolf's
down,
a good guy. He's a big boy too.
Yeah,
He's been on my show many times.
Me and Gary Wolf know
He
each
should
other.
be in your show. Gary Wolf, he looks the part.
Me
boy.
and Gary Wolf have known each other a very long time. So yeah.
You guys wrestling fans? You know?
Yeah.
ECW.
When I was a child, man, forget it. The wrestling was huge back then. Coco Beware, all them guys.
Yeah, these guys are all my buddies. If you ever
Everybody get up. Everybody get down.
Anyway, we got to wrap up
Coco
this
Beware.
segment, but we want everybody to check out Bound. And during the break, if you want to send us
And
the
Modern
clip, I could play it at the end of the show.
Okay, yeah, if we get some
Okay.
reception, we'll definitely send it
Okay.
over.
So we just want to thank everybody and support Bound. It sounds great. And if you like The Sopranos, I'm sure you're going to like Bound.
You're going to love it.
There you go. There you go.
And life's short, so if you got a grandmother or something, Thanksgiving's coming up, you know someone that don't have somewhere to eat, invite them into your home. Try to be good to your friends and family. It's life's real short. You never know if you promise. No one's promised tomorrow. So do the right thing in life, and God bless.
Watch the Bound or you're gonna get whacked.
Do the right
coming
thing.
That too.
That's coming from Vinny the Guido, right? Capiche?
Thanks for having us on the show.
My
Appreciate
pleasure.
it.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Evan.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it, man.
And when we come back, we're going to have Erica A. and Zainab Ali talk about the arts, film, TV, and anything else that comes up.
Awesome.
Thanks so much, man. Thank
Meeting
you.
you.
Same
Sorry-
here. Thank
sorry
you.
it was a skirmish.
Yeah, sorry about the drama this morning.
Round and round, it's all she knows. Play the part of being used. The more she hides, the more I show. I wanna be abused by you. Her body's like an undertow. You're drowning everything in me. The way she moves, the way she knows everything I need. This night, she shines like diamonds. So fine, so high, so low. I fall down, but only 'cause I'm wasted. And I'm so down with everything she's taken. It's like the more you break me, the more I like to take. Round and round, it's all a show. I'm the one that's being used. The scars are just the afterglow of living on a fuse. This night, she shines like diamonds. So fine, so high,
right. We are back with the Evan Ginzburg Show at VillageConnectionRadio.com, joined by media expert Erica A. And staying with us, Zainab Ali, and we're going to talk arts. I want to start with this. I was in the car talking to Erica. Bill Maher, who people either love or hate, he was talking how after Stan Lee died, that, I'm paraphrasing, comics are not high art. Why are so many people this upset over Stan Lee? And the comic book fans really got very angry. And I'm kind of in the middle. Like, I enjoy the Marvel and DC movies, and I'm a comic book fan. However, I do see that some people are a little obsessive, and this superhero changed his outfit. I'm infuriated, and that kind of thing. There is some kind of Peter Pan syndrome going on there. So I'm kind of in the middle.
I would say there are 3 types of people. There are the overly obsessive fans. There are people who truly care, who are fans. And then there are people who are anti-fans, who I guess you can call a true hater. Okay. And so the question is, where do you fall? And that would be your perspective on it.
Well, what do you think? What do you think of his comment?
I mean, I don't enjoy Bill Maher. It's way too real for me. I like my entertainment.
It's called real time. It's supposed to be real.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's a little more politically correct.
Okay.
Than is politically incorrect. But I'm saying I always found him a little too real for my taste.
I know Jim, as a Trump voter, is a big fan of Bill Maher.
Me? Nah.
I'm saying that as a joke.
Yeah. Not even that. It's not even for that reason. I don't watch those shows that much at night.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think of what he said about comic book fans?
I actually don't follow him, but just based on this discussion, I think that, there are fans, there are some diehard fans, and in every genre who, basically, they're so impacted by the film, they're so impacted by the characters, and maybe, who's to say it did not impact their lives in some positive way? Who's to say it didn't have some profound impact? Maybe it empowered them. Maybe it broke them out of their shell. Maybe they were being bullied in school, so they learned how to fight for themselves. They learned about what's right and what's wrong. So some people.
And there's nothing wrong with pure escapism
but
either.
But nothing wrong. He's always went after it, though. He's been a true hater on it. It just matters more because he died.
It's a matter of opinion. I personally am not really into. I like the superheroes. We'll go to the movies and we'll see a Marvel movie. I'm not. It's not really my thing, but I'll go see it with the kids or something. And I do think that these superheroes, they have some story behind them. And even though we know it's not real, it's just a matter of how the character, it's just a matter of an impact it had on the fans. So I think, I basically don't, I think there's a reason that people take it too far. I mean, if me personally, I don't take anything like that too far. It's like me taking horror too far. I don't take it too far.
Right.
I mean, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I stay neutral, but like I said, there are people who do take it a little.
Fan is short for fanatic.
Yeah.
And there are wrestling fans that watch wrestling 24/7, and there are horror fans who watch nothing but horror, and there are people who have their head buried in a comic book all day and all night. And there may be extremes where, you're not enjoying other things in life. But at the same point, if you just enjoy it in moderation, I don't see any problem with it.
I think it's just, again, I'm not a psychologist, but I'm just saying that people who obsess over one thing, too much of anything is not good.
Yeah.
So too much burying your head in a comic book, too much watching
related movies,
horror movies, too much of one thing, too much of anything is bad.
Yeah, I would agree.
So maybe, but who's to say, there's something that we don't know what's going on in the minds of these fans. I mean, maybe it's an escape for them.
I love horror, but I've said this to you on previous shows. When I was watching the Halloween 2, Rob Zombie,
yeah,
and he was stabbing the woman so many times, it was almost like pornographic.
It was.
I actually turned it off.
It was, honestly, I will be honest with you, some people do not like the Rob Zombie remakes. I actually do, because it had an emotional backstory. I won't lie to you, I get emotional.
The first
even-
one I thought was interesting because they
how-
told some of the backstory. The second one, it just seemed like
Second
it was
one-
violence for the sake of
The
violence.
second one revolved more around Laurie Strode's mentality, her mindset, and her state, where she was in that vulnerable, fragile position. But, if you ask me, like you said, it's very over the top that I actually fast forward that part.
Well, there you
because
go. And you're
I
a
just-
horror fan.
I'm not gonna, but here's the thing. I'm not gonna lie to you. I get very emotional when I watch any kind of movie that gets to me, and the Rob Zombie Halloween movies make me cry because it had that backstory. Seeing the rise and fall of Laurie Strode was very, very tragic. But like you said in the very beginning, all of that was not necessary. It was just
It's gratuitous.
it was too gratuitous. It was just over the top. It didn't make any sense to do that. And even it's like it didn't have to be that way. You stab someone once or twice, that's fine.
The 37th time is a bit
37
much.
times, like
back
you
to
said, it was.
I think
sorry,
Erica
but-
wants to add
yeah.
something.
All right. So back to Stan Lee and your question, do we mind that he's dead? I think I minded far more about the other celebrities that died this week that didn't get even the time of day, because everyone's like, oh God, Stan Lee is dead. Stan Lee, who's half human being, half character of himself.
He's the god of the comic world.
But he's a human being, and he's a character, and he's the creator.
He
And-
created the best comics.
You know what bothered
of all
me?
time.
I'm DC, so I gotta disagree with that. I'm sorry.
You know what bothered me? I'm reading obits on Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby and Steve Ditko aren't even mentioned in some of them.
True.
That's ridiculous.
The only thing that was worse was the omits and the tributes I saw where they wrote Spike Lee instead.
yeah.
Oh my
yeah.
Spike Lee, and they have a picture of Stan Lee, died at 95,
Oh
and I'm
my
like,
God.
Spike Lee's starting to look a little like Stan Lee.
and I'm like, yeah, not
Not
the
quite.
same person,
Not quite.
But I mean, we had a few other people who died this week, and they just got totally pushed to the back burners because.
I can't die
They're discussing
the
that
same day
happy
as Hulk Hogan because
Oh
I'll be
my God.
ignored.
Well, you shouldn't die to say name as Madonna either.
No, but Madonna and I have nothing in common. Hulk Hogan and I,
Oh
the
my
wrestling
God, yes, the
community.
wrestling community.
People wouldn't notice I dropped
Well, I'm
dead.
just saying because they're both born in August. That's why they put
Oh,
that in my
okay.
mind.
Yeah, there's some people you don't want to die the same day, like Michael Jackson.
Oh my
I
God.
think Farrah Fawcett died the same day as Michael
Michael
Jackson.
Jackson.
The wrong day to die.
They
She
both got
got
different
I'd like
kinds
to
of
say that
publicity,
Michael
though.
Jackson died on the same day that Farrah Fawcett died.
Whatever.
I
But
know.
she got lost in the shuffle.
That's how I say it.
Yeah,
you know.
she got lost in the shuffle.
But that's the
Yeah.
thing. What about Ed Burns? Was it who died? There was somebody else who.
And William.
Ed something. Ed
William
Burns.
something. This is
No,
what happens
I
when
don't
someone
get-
more famous dies.
Ed Burns. It comes. Like the three of
Ed
them.
Burns, the actor?
Ed
No,
Burns.
not Ed Burns. Not Ed Burns. Sorry, what's his name?
I was like, oh, what did I miss?
Yeah.
Somebody who was much older. He was
George
much
Burns?
old. I'm sorry.
George Burns?
George Burns died 20 years ago.
I can't.
No.
You know what? It's escaping me right now. I'm so my mind's so cluttered. It's escaping me.
I felt so bombarded with the whole Stan Lee that I saw something. I went, oh, he died too. And then I noticed the person who did several wrote like The Princess Bride and a few others, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Stan Lee. How many scenes has Stan Lee shot that are pre-recorded that he's going to make cameo appearances, which are enjoyable. I always look for them in some of the TV series. Even if the show is terrible, you want to go, oh, look, there's Stan Lee.
Yeah.
But
Look,
there's
I'm
so
a big...
much
I'm a
out
big,
there on TV.
Let me just say something
Okay.
else. Harvey P. Carr, American Splendor. Will Eisner, who wrote about, the history of New York. He did The Spirit also,
Yes.
but the history of New York, going back to immigrants coming at the turn of the previous century. American-Born Chinese. These are great graphic novels. Mouse. These are great, great works of art. But, maybe the 37th Marvel superhero movie isn't as good as Citizen Kane. This was a point that Bill Maher was making that is valid. not every comic book is high art. Not every comic book movie is
It's
high
a
art.
matter of, like I said, it's a matter of opinion. I believe art is what you believe it to be.
It's a matter of taste.
But you also still have to have a reference
There's
point.
even when it
No,
comes
even
to the
with too many of them, you don't need a reference point anymore of the comic
No,
book
what I'm
movies. They
saying, what
want
I'm
you to
saying
come
is,
in.
what I'm saying is, if the 11th X-Men movie comes out, it's probably not as important as Gone with the Wind, The Wizard of Oz, Citizen Kane. So that's valid.
You know, there's art in every genre. There's art, even in
And
the
I
adult,
like superhero movies.
even
I'm
in the
not.
adult entertainment industry. The adult entertainment industry consider it art. Pornography's art.
Devil Miss Jones.
So you see, that's the thing. I mean, it's art is what you make of it.
The scene in Devil and Miss Jones where she goes in the bathtub and quietly slits her wrist. That's a powerful scene.
It's a
that was a well done, piece of film. But the average porno movie also is not Citizen Kane.
No. But I think also you have to comment also what comic books have actually made a political statement and could be more than just entertainment.
Of course.
Compared to the Hollywood movies, which are just there to make the buck and come bombarding one after the other after the other.
I will enjoy every Iron Man movie, but the next morning I kind of forgot about it. A truly great movie.
It's hard to tell what's an Iron Man movie and what's Iron Man randomly in the movie.
Well, that too. But when you watch something truly great, you wake up the next morning, and the first thing you're thinking of is that movie because it left something with you.
It got to you.
So that doesn't necessarily happen with a superhero movie. Where the last 20 minutes they're flying around, breaking buildings, and punching each other. It's a different level of cinema for the most part.
But to each their own. That's the thing. I see people getting so butthurt over what's posted on social media and everything. They get into social media wars over these things, and I just scroll.
You just scroll past it. It's always safer.
I scroll down. I'm like, really? You know what? There's worse things going on in this world, and people are creating diatribe over this. I'm just like, okay, scroll.
Besides the fact that I've seen great film critics disagree on a movie. You have Siskel and Ebert, and one says thumbs up, one says thumbs down. And ultimately, it's your opinion and where you're coming from. And maybe you're tired that day and you're not absorbing the movie or whatever the case may be.
Something about...
I don't think it should take... I just don't think people should take it so far to the point where then they start unfriending you on Facebook,
Yeah.
If you
didn't like Spider-Man's new outfit. I'm unfriending you.
You don't like Star Wars. You don't like the Star Wars movie.
You don't like the
everybody.
sidetrack of the Star Wars movie. You're watching the animated Star Wars instead. You're watching only this Star Trek and not that Star Trek.
Except for the Solo movie, I've seen every Star Wars movie. The only one I really thought was truly great was The Empire Strikes Back. I thought all the others were slow in spots, convoluted, hard to follow. I like the Star Wars franchise. I'm not the biggest fan. I mean, it's not really my thing, but I do like it. I do like watching it in the theater. I just have to say, Ewok is so adorable. Ewok is so cute. I
love Return to Jedi. They're like the best characters.
He's so cute. You just want to eat him up. He's just too cute.
Why don't you two do a show together where you review things and you could argue and?
All right. Well, yes, I do try to keep track of Star Wars. I've been watching the 2 series.
No, seriously.
Disney
I don't remember seeing. I don't
XD
remember seeing a show with 2 women critics.
That's okay. That's
okay.
Doesn't.
So, shall we jump to a totally different topic?
Sure.
So, HBO and Showtime have new shows.
Tell us about them.
Oh, well, actually, it's interesting. The show on Showtime, which I'm not that interested in, is being produced by Ben Stiller, who you think of as a comedian.
Right.
But it's going to be a hardcore drama about prison.
Wow.
And that's what I was thinking about it, because we just had the last group about crime and everything. And so it's starting this Sunday. I'm probably not going to watch it. I like my things not quite contemporary. I'm much more of an Outlander fan, which I know you still have not given Outlander a chance.
Yeah,
and
along with 100 other shows.
But we're now 4 seasons in, and so it's a little harder to catch up than when it was 1 or 2 seasons.
When I'm on my deathbed, the last thing I'll watch is Outlander.
and you'll find out what happened to Jamie.
That's right. Before I leave this earth, I need to find out what happened to Jamie.
Well, especially since you would have appreciated that when they were promoting it, and you always talk about some people are great chatters and some people just can't do that. They had him on Jimmy Fallon, and he could not promote the show.
Wow.
All he kept saying was, yeah, we finished production and now I'm going home.
It's great.
It's like,
great.
yeah, well, so you shot in America. It takes place during the colonies. Yeah, we're in the Carolinas, and now I'm going to fly back to England and go home.
Well, we do have to wrap things up. Anything you both like to plug?
No,
I have.
Horror Nook?
Well,
Nightmare
actually, we are in we're turning the A Nightmare Nook, 6 scary stories to give you nightmares, into a film, an independent film, an anthology, and basically
You should have Abyss in it. He'd be perfect.
Well, this is going to be shot kind of like Dan Carter's Trilogy of Terror style, because that's, for me, that is like we were discussing the previous episode. Not previous episode, the previous interview. Everything has to come from the heart. It has to feel real. These are inspired by my own nightmares, and right now we're in pre-production stages. We're looking for an actress between dark hair, Caucasian, no visible tattoos or piercings, from 18 to 24.
Oh, no.
Who can...
you aged out already.
Yeah, I know.
Who basically, if they're if they're actresses and they're, we're looking for auditions for the pitch trailer. And just email the nightmarenook@gmail.com.
You just made her feel old.
With your real...
Oh, I feel old every
Now you know
day.
how I feel half the time. Yeah.
Email with the nightmarenook@gmail.com with your real resume and a video clip of you acting terrified and screaming.
Okay.
So it's got to fit the 70s style, the 70s mold.
Okay.
So.
Erica?
Oh, nothing to plug right now. I'm actually moving on probably to a new project that's not actually media related, so.
Okay.
But you can always look me up, Facebook. It's my name, Erica. Last
Spell
name
Erica.
Ericka. I know I got both. Last name Asserson.
Okay. And Jim, did they send that clip?
They did not.
No, Vinny? No clip?
They tried to. There was just they couldn't.
Okay, no
I'll
problem.
do it another time. But
No
I'll
problem.
I'll get it
So-
the next time.
All right. And you wanted to add anything, Erica?
I was just going to say, we could talk about eating.
Oh, by the way, there is something
we could
I
talk
forgot.
about Jim going home to his family.
There was something I forgot. We're talking about, like, whenever people die around the same time, one gets more publicity than the other.
Always.
I remembered when Michael Jackson died, I was coming back home from work, driving back home, I was going to a store, the pharmacy, and when I heard that on the radio, I remembered at that precise given moment, the entire world seemed to have stopped.
For hours.
Oh, yeah.
It stopped, as
The
if though
world-
it's,
That's
As
it.
if it was never going to turn again.
It's interesting you say that.
It stopped right dead in its
They
axis.
they say that when somebody truly great or very important, a pope, a president, somebody like Michael Jackson
An
dies,
icon.
the world pauses.
I think it was more
does
so with
pause.
Michael Jackson because they were putting out announcements on the news that he was dead, he wasn't dead, they weren't sure he was dead.
Or
And
he
so
was,
people like
but
us
it's
in our
not-
age group, we were looking at it like, is he dead? Like,
was
we were
very
holding our
sad.
breath.
Actually,
Yes.
Steve Jobs died around that time. So with Farrah Fawcett, and there was a Burns guy, Ed Burns or whomever. It's
I'm
escaping
sitting
me.
in on this
Vinny
conversation.
But
just
here's
welcomed
the
himself
thing.
back
Well,
to
I
the
think
show.
it comes
We're
back
wrapping
to
it up, Vinny.
Always, and they have to
I'm
balance
sitting in on
it.
this
They have
Here's
conversation.
the thing. Here's the thing, though. I remember, though, just when it happened. It's one of those moments you will never ever forget. And everybody, all of us, my friends, everybody, were shooting texts back and forth, flipping out. The King of Pop is dead. Michael Jackson is dead. MJ is dead. The King of Pop is dead.
You know what
And he had
affected
that
me?
crazy
And it affected me because I know there will never be another Michael Jackson.
When I turned on the radio back when people were still listening to radio, and they
Still listen to radio?
they go Marvin Gaye, age 44, and I immediately go in my head dead, and he was, and I just sat there stunned. His own father shot him dead, and this guy was a genius.
Oh, I love
I
Marvin
mean,
Gaye.
Musical. What's Going On is as great an album as you're
I love
ever going to
sexual
hear.
healing.
Yeah,
Sexual
I'll-
healing.
Let me tell you something. A friend of mine, you probably know her as Nicoletta. She.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, she's a manager in wrestling.
Right.
know. She is a huge Michael Jackson fan, and she did not take it well when she found out that Michael Jackson died. But just recently, over the summer, my family and I, we went to Wildwood, New Jersey, and on the way back home, we stopped off at Atlantic City.
Right.
So we went to the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, which is the former Trump Taj Mahal. Now, let me tell you something. This building does not resemble one iota of the old Trump Taj Mahal. Like, it is completely redone. And what they had there was now, anybody who's a Michael Jackson fan should definitely go to the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino in Atlantic City, because they have Michael Jackson's gloves on display, along with a couple other things that Michael Jackson...
I'm going to drive there right after the show. I need to see his gloves. I'm going to drive 3 hours.
The gloves that he had on
plural.
concert,
Yes.
and also they had a lot of other stuff with and right next to it is Elvis Presley too. So if anybody's an Elvis Presley or Michael Jackson fan, shoot over to the Hard Rock Hotel and Casino, because it's not just Michael Jackson gloves. There was other things that Michael Jackson had too. But
I think the
it
question
was
is, has
amazing.
Lisa Marie ever been there?
What?
Lisa Marie, father was Elvis, second husband was Michael. I was just making a joke. Never mind.
Oh, okay.
Does Lisa Marie ever go there and say hi to her family?
Right.
Yeah.
And when in Memphis, when you visit Graceland, drive about a mile further and go to Al Green's church. It's the greatest thing you'll ever experience.
Really?
Al Green does like a 4-hour service. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
It's funny because many years ago, back in 2005, I was in the World Series of Poker in Las Vegas. And my dad's never been, he never been to Vegas before, so I took my dad along with me, and this is during the time. This is when the Elvis Museum in Las Vegas. We were there for like the last 2 weeks that the Elvis Museum was open before it closed down for good, and I took my dad because my dad's a huge Elvis fan. So I went there. We met Elvis Presley's best friends and whatnot, and the cool thing about it is that after it turns out that Elvis Presley's friends were wrestling fans. So
Elvis
they
was a big
were in
wrestler.
Blue Hawaii with
Elvis
Presley.
dated Penny Banner.
Yeah. Anyway, they were in Blue Hawaii with Elvis Presley, and when they found, they looked at me, they're like, "You look familiar." I'm like, oh, I never did, I never did anything big time or anything, but I was like, "You follow wrestling?" They're like, "Yeah, we follow wrestling." I was like, "You follow the Independents?" They're like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Vinny the Guido?" They're like, "Oh." So after the museum closed to the public, they told me and my dad to stay after because they were going to give us another tour that the normal public doesn't get to see.
Wow.
And they took the rope down and they let me and my dad sit in the front seat of Elvis Presley's real pink Cadillac that Elvis Presley drove.
Nice.
That
Not
was-
everybody could say that.
Yeah.
Skip Booker, the wrestling journalist, he loves Elvis. He's always posting about Elvis. But we must wrap it up.
Yeah.
I just want to thank all our guests and remind everybody to check out the web series Bound. Don't miss it, and check out Pamela Roth's show. Jim, anything you want to plug from the station?
Village Connection,
All right.
radio.com.
No, we got a lot of great things going on. Looking forward to
New shows?
new shows coming soon. A lot of people are celebrating their 1-year anniversary because we really kicked it into gear last year at this time. So it's good.
There you go. So that'll about do it. Don't start on a whole nother subject.
Well, no,
Jim wants to go home.
Modern Vintage Wrestling, actually. We're doing the Bruiser Brody Cup now. You remember Bruiser Brody, right?
I never heard of him. I saw Bruce and Brody wrestle with Dula live. Anyway, we're wrapping it up, Vinny. So that'll about do it. Thank you, everybody.
the conversation, they're all dead. The lines cut off inside my head. I left here like a broken man with no idea of where I stand. Oh, my mind clears. Oh, I shed all of my tears. Oh, now baby, I was just waiting here while you moved on. Security, this newfound freedom you kept from me. The sound of all your loaded gun. This heartbreak war has just begun. The sound of all your loaded gun. This broken man has already won. Oh, my mind clears. Oh, I shed